comes to outdoor TV, usually people think, well, it's simple. You just go out there, you get your animals, 30 minutes later, the show's over, you got a show. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not always that easy. In fact, I wish it was, but that's just not the case. There's a lot of hunts that are extremely hard. I'll be out there 7 to 10 days. Sometimes I walk away with absolutely nothing. I've had a great time, but as far as the show goes, sometimes it just doesn't happen. In fact, last season, I had an extremely tough season. I had 13 hunts where I zeroed. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't have a great time. It doesn't mean it wasn't a successful hunt. It just means I didn't get an animal and didn't necessarily have enough footage to make any type of show out of it. So this episode, we're going through all the hard hunts. We had some amazing adventures out there, but just because it was an amazing adventure doesn't necessarily add up to great TV. I'm out there 250 days a year, and there's plenty of hunts that end up going empty-handed, and that's part of it. And I want people to know that it's not all fun and games. It doesn't work perfectly, and there are times when it simply is tough. So first up, well, we're heading to the Yukon. Now the Yukon is a place that I've wanted to hunt since I can remember. They have huge moose. It's an incredible area, and I was invited by Yukon Stone Outfitters to go on one heck of a journey. We were going to be flying up into Whitehorse, then from there we were going to get in a float plane, and we were going late season. Now when you're doing any type of hunt up in the Yukon late season, well, you better be tough, both mentally and physically. Well, we just got into camp, and the first thing I want to do is shoot my gun. Now up here in the Yukon, you gotta wait 6 hours after you fly. So we landed at 10:30 this morning. We're gonna head out around 4:30. We'll still get a good afternoon hunt in. I just set up a box down about 100 yards. I'm gonna shoot my gun, make sure everything's still good. And on this trip, I'm gonna be shooting the Winchester Power Max Bonded. Now this is gonna be a 180 grain bullet and a 300 Win Mag. Should be perfect for moose up here. And just gotta make sure everything's on, then we can get out hunting. There's a lot of things that make hard hunts different from one hunt to the other. Well, on this hunt in the Yukon, the hard hunting part, well, it came down to the weather. We were dealing with absolutely frigid conditions. But the good part is, we were so far out in the wilderness, I wasn't sure if these animals had ever seen another person. It is pretty cool to go into an area and to know you might be one of the first people that have come through here hunting. The animals have no clue. It's completely pristine, beautiful area, and it truly is breathtaking. The hunting, that's just a bonus. Well, we just got done glassing around, calling this area, and now, unfortunately, we've got to leave our nice little warm cabins, and we're gonna float down the river a couple hours, and then we're gonna tent camp for the rest of the week. It is really cold. My boots got wet coming in. I don't think they'll ever dry out now, so it's snowing. We've got all sorts of nasty weather moving in, so it's not exactly the most exciting thing to leave when you got a nice little shelter and go to a tent, but that's where the moose are, so that's where we're gonna go. We had to pack up all the gear, put it in rafts, blow those rafts up, get everything ready, and it is cold. As we're trying to get everything ready, our ropes are frozen, and I'm thinking, we've got another week to 10 days of this. We better toughen up right now. Even this Minnesota girl, I got a little bit cold.
This segment was brought to you by Sportsman's Alliance. Our heritage, our fight. Protecting hunting from coast to coast.
Did you know that sportsmen and women contribute nearly $8 million to the economy every single day, adding more than $2.9 billion every year for conservation? Just another fun fact showing how sportsmen and women are helping make a difference. When it comes to tough hunts, well, I have had them over the years. Anyone who's a hunter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not everything works out as planned. And it's true, not every successful hunt necessarily ends in an animal. But when you're making TV, well, you need to get some animals down too. So this episode is all about those hunts that don't necessarily go as planned, that maybe are harder, but really the experience was amazing. Well, I'm not even sure what day of the week it is anymore or how many days we've got left, but we've only got a couple days to go, and it has been absolutely tough hunting. We started out in a cabin, we went down the river. It was pretty tough. We got a new campsite set up here. We've been watching, we've been calling. The weather's been absolutely brutal. So far, we have not seen a single animal out here. Unfortunately, there's a lot of country, so right now we're just trying to put in our time. We got a couple more days left. We've probably got another 20 miles to go downriver, so we're gonna probably start working our way downriver. That way we'll be there when it's time to go, but right now, this has just been an extremely tough hunt. No animals, so there's only so much you can do. Well, right now we're up in the Yukon hunting moose, and it has been a long, cold hunt, and we haven't had a lot of action. But I have had some incredible success in the past. In fact, I've gone to Newfoundland several years in a row, and I am talking, you see so many moose. In fact, on our last trip, we were able to go up there, call moose during the peak of the rut, and we called a bull right inside to 18 yards. Now, I can't even tell you how many other moose we saw on this trip, but it is pretty amazing to have an animal that big come right in close. We were hunting with Effords Hunting Adventures, and he has quite an operation. In fact, not only when you get your moose, you're not even done. They have woodland caribou there as well. I had a tag in my pocket, and we decided, well, we're not gonna pass up this opportunity. I went for a caribou and ended up with a beautiful woodland caribou. And what I like about different trips is you learn different things. The moose in Newfoundland, they're different than a Yukon moose. But when you're moose hunting, it's just a neat experience. Very seldom do you get to go after an animal that big, and you get to go out in the middle of nowhere. You get this beautiful moose. The meat is phenomenal. Once you've done all that work packing it out, you get to have some wonderful meals right in the field, and it is amazing. So yes, moose hunting is probably some of my favorite, especially when you can call them in. But we're going back to the Yukon, where it is also the peak of the rut. But so far, it's been a pretty tough hunt. We just got the camp all packed up and we've got everything in here. We're gonna head down the river a little further. We may stop along the way several times to try to call in moose, but we've got another beautiful day. It seems like every time we get in the boats, we've got nice sunny skies, so at least it should be good. One of the things that I love about traveling in a raft and heading downriver is you are able to cover so much ground. We wanted to set up camp maybe 2-3 times, but not much more than that because we didn't want to waste a bunch of time setting up camp when we should be hunting. But unfortunately, we weren't seeing a lot of moose and we weren't seeing a lot of sign. So instead of just sitting in one area, we kept thinking, well, we've got a ways to go. So our next location, we head down and it is absolutely beautiful. I mean, this is one of those spots where you set up and you could just look around and just be mesmerized by everything around it. The moose, they can come right through there. So we knew that this was an area where the game is naturally traveling, and we thought this would be a great setup. And it was gorgeous. The northern lights were absolutely unbelievable. And there's not that many people out there who've had a chance to experience the northern lights way up in the middle of the Yukon on a moose hunt. It's absolutely spectacular.
This segment was brought to you by Boss Buck. For the most user-friendly and dependable feeder on the market, choose Boss Buck feeders. Now you're getting serious. Winchester Deadly Passion is presented by Cutty Back Digital. More deer, fewer blanks. Hard-hitting Easton Arrows. Golden Triangle Whitetail. Winchester, celebrating 150 years of legendary excellence. Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology. Apply it, dry it, and go hunt. Rage Broadheads, leading the evolution in lethal technology. Sportsman's Alliance, protecting hunting from coast to coast. Engel Coolers, the original high-performance cooler company. And Moose Utility Division, your leader in ATV, UTV accessories.
When it comes to making outdoor TV, well, a lot of times people think, well, you get all the best spots. You get to go to great locations and you're just getting show after show. Well, that means I've done my job as an editor, but the thing is, that is not always the case. In fact, over the season, I had all sorts of difficult hunts. In fact, I went to Colorado and we were out hiking and hiking. The weather, a complete change from the Yukon. Extremely hot conditions. We're talking 80, 90 degrees. Before the rut, the elk aren't bugling. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's tough hunting early season, not a lot of bugling. You basically got to go around, try finding them. You have to get in close because when you're calling, they could be 200 yards away, probably not going to be close enough. So you got to really be quiet, call. And that's exactly what we're doing, just trying different spots, and definitely another fun day. Yeah, not exactly the easiest way to do it, but we were confident that if we put in enough miles, we could make it work. Well, as we're hunting, we're going through, we actually spotted a nice 5x5 with a bunch of cows, but it was just a little bit too small. We were in amazing elk conditions, and I didn't want to just go out and shoot a small bull. I wanted to go and try to get one of those big giant bulls. Well, as the week went on, we hunted so hard. I have no idea how many miles we were walking a day, but I don't think we ever stopped. In fact, I'm pretty sure I might have fallen asleep while I was walking once. True story. I was tired, I was wore out, and you know what? As much effort as we put in, it just didn't work out. Now, quite the contrary. Well, earlier, I had been on an elk hunt with one of my best friends from college, and we couldn't do anything wrong. We had one bull after another coming in, bugling their heads off, and it was absolutely phenomenal. But sometimes in order to really appreciate those good hunts, you've got to have a couple hunts that aren't successful as well. When it comes to hard hunts, well, there's one species that always is going to top the list. That is whitetails. And probably one of the reasons that I love whitetails so much is because of that exact reason. Just because you go out there, you put in the time, you do the scouting, you hang your stands, well, that doesn't mean a big buck's gonna walk through. And I hunt Illinois year after year. I've taken some absolutely phenomenal deer. And if you watch the shows, you probably think, well, geez, every time you go to Illinois, you find success. Well, that's not exactly the case. In fact, this year, well, I had been putting in my time. I had been spending a lot of time bow hunting, just hadn't quite had it work out. And I was out on the second gun season, sitting in my favorite stand location. People were getting bucks all over, and there I sit. For some reason, just wasn't having any luck. Well, then finally, a nice buck stepped out. Now this deer was a pretty far shot. I didn't think I had much time left, so I got ready, got my slug gun ready, took the shot, and I missed. I missed by a mile. I'm pretty sure I hit down by its feet. No clue what happened. Maybe I just got too excited, and it's one of those things. It worked out, I just messed up. And yeah, it's heart-wrenching, especially after a difficult season. Now, the reason that I know 100% that I missed, well, later that next day, another lady shot it who was also in camp, Kathy Pavlicek. Turned out to be just a beautiful deer, and I was happy for her. She had it come down to her gun box, wasn't all that far away, and she made her shot count and ended up with a beautiful buck. So, as you can see, even for someone who hunts as much as I do, not everything works out perfectly. As I always say, the hard ones, well, they make up for the other ones. And when I have everything come together, well, it reminds me just how lucky I am and how much I love everything to do with this sport.
Memory Chase, building our future, one child at a time.
Memory Chase is all about getting more kids involved and features home video from viewers just like you. This week, we're going to Nebraska with 8-year-old Brooklyn Kephart.
All right, ready? Let's go. All right, people. Today's October 1st. It's that time of year that we all really look forward to. We're gonna make this short and sweet. We got deer everywhere. Brooklyn's in here. She's got her crossbow. She's been shooting and practicing. She knows what she's supposed to hit and where to hit them. That's good.
Holy cow.
It's a big... Yeah, look at the antlers. You didn't even see the antlers yet. Oh, bro, quick.
Oh, I can't. Dude, they're heavy.
If you or someone you know has kids hunting footage that they'd like to share, we'd love to feature their hunt. Visit memorychase.com for details. So a chance to see your kids on TV, a new mission bow, plus tons of other great gear for each weekly winner, why not enter today? Memory Chase, building our future one child at a time.
Winchester Deadly Passion is presented by Winchester, celebrating 150 years of legendary excellence. Matthews Archery, catch us if you can. Field and Stream, where traditions begin. ScoutLookWeather.com. Download the free ScoutLook hunting app for your smartphone. Reinhardt, the best archery targets in the world. Analogics, protect your deer herd with the power of science. Winchester, the American legend. Sure Shot Jewelry. Check out the Melissa Bachman collection today. And Boss Buck, for the most user-friendly and dependable feeder on the market. Now you're getting serious. Closed captioning is brought to you by Cuddyback Digital. Upgrade to Cuddyback and your images will never look better.
So far, we're going through all the hard hunts in this episode. In fact, when you're on a hunt like this, patience is absolutely key. We were out calling and we were really waiting and waiting for a moose just to step out. And at any moment, it can happen. Trouble is, we just weren't seeing them, but we were absolutely putting our time in. We'd get up in the morning, get everything going, walk out, find those clearings, get up on high points, vantage points, and try to look for moose, for sign, try to bring something in. We had a great plan, we had a great setup. Unfortunately, the moose just weren't cooperating. This is one of those trips that if you aren't mentally prepared and you're not mentally tough enough, it can wear you down quick. But all of us were in good spirits. We were drawing on the homemade moose call and really just trying to get through the week to enjoy what we have around us. So as we packed up shop, we had one last place to go to. This was going to be our last stop before our pickup, and we wanted to spend a few days there. There were a couple of rivers that came together, and we felt this was going to be a top location. There should be moose all over.
I just peeked up into this lake here and we'd seen a cow. I think it's a cow right on just right
How far
outside.
do you think? How far do you
I think it's about 500 to 700 yards, just over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get real close, and I'm gonna start bull calling.
Okay.
If there's a bull there, we're gonna challenge him and see if he can react.
Okay. It was an all-out panic. We ran, we got all set up, and there was a big cow and calf out in the water, and it was beautiful. And I thought, this is perfect. If a bull comes in, it's gonna get in close, we're gonna have the best shot on the world. Well, as we're sitting there, I'm on my sticks, I'm watching, I'm just waiting for a big bull to step out, and unfortunately, no bull stepped out. This cow and calf must have still been down on their own, and the only thing that we could attribute these big bulls not being down is that the rut had happened just a little bit earlier, and those bulls had already taken their cows up in the high country. But that last location we set up, it was just beautiful. The northern lights, we had stars all over, we had just beautiful scenery all around us. Nope, we didn't end up with a moose, but it goes down as probably one of the toughest, most beautiful hunts I've ever been a part of. And we got so much amazing footage, that'd be a shame not to make something out of it. So yes, this was one of my hard hunts. It was a very difficult hunt, and it made me tougher, and someday I plan to go back to the Yukon and find one of those big bull moose yet.